doing? Who laid eggs today?
That one that's right out. That one.
Baba Yaga?
Baba Yaga. And she laid some white eggs, 2 brown eggs on there.
That one is Baba Yaga's.
This one's fine.
That one is Lady Cluck's. And that one is Liesel's.
They're not cracked.
Good. Can you show me? How many eggs did we get so far?
1, 2, 3.
We'll probably get some more this afternoon. Well, it looks like Ribby's lining up for her turn. Oh, look! Another box I can use. I'll use that in the garden. Hey, girls. These two are my buddies. These are our first two, or from our first batch of chicks. They're the only two that survived. And they are super friendly because we raised those ones by hand. A lot of our other chickens, we got them either as adults or we just put them out here directly, and so they're not quite as friendly. Especially Lady Cluck. She's a Sicilian buttercup, which is by nature very flighty, but she is just not a fan of people at all. So, with our other two chicks back there, we have been spending as much time with them as we can, and we had them in our bathroom extra long, just to make sure that they were going to be cool with people. I don't know, actually. I was just wondering about that. We should get our own bees so that we can guarantee the pollinators. So it's not like they can't get through the netting.
Well, they can't because they're so tiny. To pollinate the flowers
Yeah.
that are here.
And what are we growing here?
Strawberries.
And whose idea was it to grow the strawberries?
Mine.
Yep.
And there's some flowers that are here.
You're making sure we stay in the fruit. You want to show us the other berries that you wanted to plant? Come here.
So we planted some blueberries, blackberries.
Well, hold on. Show me what they are.
Blackberry tree.
No, this is a mulberry.
Here's a mulberry tree that we need to take down.
Yeah, we're going to take down the mulberry because the berries are too messy, and we don't eat them as much as we should, and it's shading the garden. Okay, what else is over here?
Here's fig tree and get this.
Let's maybe not do that.
Well, I'm making a map.
Okay, can we make a map without the rope?
Tangerine tree, which is orange. That.
How many blueberries do we have?
2.
We have 2 kinds, but we have 3 bushes.
Yeah.
There's this one, which is a premier blueberry, and then these 2 are Brightwell.
Then we have some.
Oh yeah, forgot. Yes, we have these 3 blueberry bushes that my dad sent us that he ripped out of his garden. They are blue crop, I think, and they're only hardy to zone 6, so I don't think they will survive because we are in zone 9B. But he sent them to me and they were free, so we're going to try it. Maybe we'll get one berry, and that'll be good enough. What you doing? Sally. Okay, what's this one?
An apple tree?
No, this is a plum tree.
Plum tree, yeah.
And I feel like it's dead, but we'll see. Right here. What's this?
A toadabode?
It's a what?
Toadabode.
Look at me.
Toadabode.
A toadabode. And what's that one?
I don't know.
Our peach tree. A peach tree? What kind of tree is it?
Peach.
Oh.
This is an apple tree, right?
That's the pear tree.
Pear tree? What's this tree?
That's an apple.
Apple?
That's a nothing tree. You forgot this one. That's also an apple tree.
Huh? Oh, here's some flowers right here.
Careful. This is our pear tree.
Uh-huh.
And it's blossoming.
Yeah.
A couple people have asked me why we planted these trees so close together. And the answer is because we live on like a fifth of an acre or less. And so we're maximizing our space. And I did actually get out a measuring tape and measure the exact distance between them, and they are the minimum distance apart. And we will be pruning them to keep them small. So hopefully it'll work out. So we have sort of a passive approach to composting. We just throw everything in this bin, and the chickens scratch it out and spread it all over the ground, see? And turn it into really, really rich soil. Check out this pile of cardboard here, and I have a project that I'm working on today with this. So I have this giant pile of cardboard, and the plan is to lay the cardboard along the pathways in between our garden boxes, and then layer it with mulch. So this arched trellis right here, we're going to move to be between this one and this one. And this arch trellis is going to stay right where it is. Because last year, this gets too shady sometimes because of the trees. And so the tomatoes didn't work there. We got like 5 tomatoes and it was not very happy. So we're going to put tomatoes in some of these other boxes and move this trellis over there. Our cucumbers will all be on this one. And then I'm going to put some scarlet runner beans on the arch trellis that matches up with the gate entrance. In between all the boxes on the ground, like I said, I'm going to line it with cardboard, fill it in with mulch, and it's going to, like I said, it's going to raise the ground level because we get a lot of standing water in our yard. And it's also going to make the grass go away and not be an issue so that I can plant creeping thyme and some other ground covers with a few little stones placed here and there to walk on. I've also added a couple of these hanging planters, which I actually had over there the last couple of years. I put one here and one right here, and they're just going to have some flowers in there. These are violas, and they're so cute. The radishes are very much ready to harvest, and I am the only one who eats them. And my mother-in-law was in town a couple days ago, and she likes them, but now she's gone, and so it's just me. So if anybody has any ideas on what to do with lots of extra radishes, because I'm not going to be able to keep up, send them over. Okay, here's our Malabar spinach. I'm not entirely sure if it will grow on second-year vines, because some of these look really shrivelly, but I'm hoping that it will grow more in the warm weather and come and fill in this fence right here, and that'll be really cool. And then on this side, this pot right here, I just planted some Grandpa Ott's morning glory, and it's hopefully gonna come along this side of the fence and be beautiful. So this spot right here is where we're gonna put the other arch trellis. This one, we're gonna move that over to here, and that's gonna have some scarlet runner beans, which are both edible and beautiful. You got her! Careful with her wings.
She's the best chicken ever.
Ruby is a pretty good chicken. Also, I'm gonna finally take out this trash can because it just, I don't know, it hasn't been doing too great. We had chives in there. Oh, good. We had some chives growing in there, and they just, I don't know, they just haven't done well. The carrots did okay, but I decided to do carrots somewhere else this year. So I think I'm going to retire this or move it somewhere else, and then so in the center of our garden it will just be this pot. And right now it has some fennel and some patchouli in it. You can put that in the compost. And in the future I would love to try a dwarf lemon tree. With the boxes laid out in a better sort of fashion, and with the pot in the center of the garden, and with the beautiful, hopefully, trailing thyme and some other things, this will look like a little bit nicer, hopefully a lot nicer, and it'll be closer to sort of a potager style garden, which I think would be really cool. I just want it to be beautiful. It's really sunny. I just want it to be beautiful. And it is beautiful, and I love it, but I want to maximize that. So I have some pretty good plans for the spring garden, spring/summer garden. Actually, I should show you guys my plans and the seeds. Okay. I just wanted to go through the seeds that I'm going to be planting this year. But first I wanted to show you my garden map. So this is the house, and this is the front entrance that I was talking about. This is the arch trellis. Oh, wow. This is the front archway. This is the one that we left in. And then here's the pot. So this is all remaining the same. This is strawberries over here, and this is the blueberries and boysenberries. And so this is the play area. So I wish that there was a way for me to show the map while I'm talking about it, but I don't know how to do that because I'm not that savvy. So I'm just gonna kind of go bed by bed, and hopefully you can envision it. If not, you just get to look at all the cool seeds and be happy. Okay, so let's start with, so the front trellis, I'm gonna do these scarlet runner, and then like I said, the Malabar spinach is gonna be on the one side of the gate, and then on the fence on the other side of the gate is gonna be my Grandpa Ott's morning glory. And this, I'm hoping, is, I saw some really pretty flowering vines at a nursery last year, and I'm hoping this is what it was. I'm not entirely sure. So yes, and then in the bed right next to it, right at the front, right now there's garlic and radishes in there, and the radishes are almost done. I planted some dill at one end. This dill, the fern leaf dill. No, Ducat leafy dill. And so funny story, I am so bad at growing dill. I don't know what it is. I always have to buy it like already established and then keep it in a pot, and it lasts like 2 months and then it dies. Probably because it's too hot in the summertime here, except that I've tried it other times of year and it also dies. So I don't really know what's going on. So I'm planting dill seed in 2 different places in the garden this year. Hopefully one of them will take, because I would really love to have an established dill plant because we use a lot of it in the spring and summer when I make pickles. Okay, so in that same bed there's garlic right now, and yes, there's garlic right now and radishes, and then I just planted some dill seed yesterday. And in the front part where the arch trellis going to the interior bed is, I planted these Richmond green apple cucumbers. It says that there was a low germination, so I planted a ton of them. Hopefully at least one will work out. And then on the other side, so now we're in the next bed. We're in this one. And that is where on the other side of that trellis I planted these, so this seed packet is all ripped up. Arkansas little leaf pickling cucumbers. I usually do the national pickling or the Boston pickling. No, I do the national pickling. And they've done really well in the past couple of years, but last year we had actually quite a lot of powdery mildew, and so I got these Arkansas little leaf pickling cucumbers because they're better for the hot and humid south. So those will hopefully be even more awesome. Okay, and then I have a couple of herbs in there, chives and sage and lemon balm. And then I probably have rooms for some flowers, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet because I can't remember if I've already planted something in there. Okay, so then next to that, I'm not really putting anything yet, but in the second half of the cucumber bed, and then the one that's right next to it that doesn't have the arch trellis, that's where I'm going to be doing the squashes. And I'm going to wait until the weather's warmer, but let me show you what I'm going to plant. So I also have terrible luck growing squash here, and I don't know what it is exactly. I assume it's because it's too humid. So I have some old Ronde Denise squash. It's like a round zucchini, like a ball, left over from last year. I'm gonna try those again. And then I also got these. I would really love to have some winter squash, which are called winter squash because you eat them in the winter, not because you grow them in the winter. So you grow them in the summer. So I would love to have some winter squash that we can store to eat in the fall. I would love that. So I got 2 varieties that are supposed to be really good for the hot and humid south. And they do a lot better with powdery mildew and nematodes and that kind of thing. So I got the green striped cushaw. I wish it had a picture because it's kind of cool looking. And then the Seminole pumpkin. So, and by the way, if you are in the south, yeah, basically anywhere hot and humid, you need to check out Southern Seed Exchange because, I mean, they have seeds for all over, but I found them super helpful in this past season planting my garden because they have a section where you can just go for like varieties really good for the south, and you know, you can click on the different sections from there. And so that's where I got these varieties because I've tried so many different kinds of ones. But most of the famous seed companies are like in the Midwest or the Pacific Northwest, or, you know, places that are not the South. So kind of have to take what they say with a grain of salt. So I'm excited to try these varieties from Southern Seed Exchange. And then I forgot, once the garlic is done and the radishes and all of that stuff is out, I'm going to use that space to do melons. And so I got the Edisto musk melon, which is a cantaloupe for those who don't know. And then even though it's not necessarily perfect for the south, I had to get the Amish Moon and Stars watermelon because I've always wanted to grow that one. So who knows? Probably won't grow. Okay, so then actually on the outside of the garden space, I have a long skinny bed along our wooden fence by the house, and I'm going to plant peas there. And in the past, I've done just a tender sweet snap pea, but this time I'm gonna, and they do okay. They do okay. They kind of peter out when it starts to get warm. But this year I'm gonna try this southern better snap pea. And maybe that'll give us a little bit longer of production. Okay, so before I start talking about the other things that I'm planning for the garden, I mentioned tomatoes and peppers, and I just want to show you what varieties I'm doing because I'm kind of really excited. Okay, so first of all, I got pepper seeds last year from Baker Creek, and I decided not to buy my seeds from Baker Creek this year, but I did have some left over. So this is one of the pepper varieties, arroz con pollo, and they did not germinate at all. Last year, probably 2 or 3 did, and then they died when they were young, and this year, none of them germinated. And I don't know if it's because they're a year old or if it's because, I have no idea. So if you've ever grown this arroz con pollo, I've heard good things about it, but I cannot get them to germinate. Tips on peppers, because I'm a pepper failure. So here's another one that I had left over from last year. It's the Corbaci sweet pepper. This one did germinate. I actually have five pepper plants that were successful. And then I also did the Carolina Wonder sweet bell pepper. So this is kind of the southern equivalent of the California Wonder that you see everywhere, but it's nematode resistant and it's a lot better for the south. So, and this one I think I have 3 plants of, so I'm really excited because we have never had success with peppers. Gardening is hard. Okay, so I did germinate a few of these, but they died. Cat got to them, and then the last one like shriveled up. It's a hard life. So I don't know if I'm gonna try these from seed again, or if I'm just gonna buy a tomatillo. I did want to make some salsa this year, so I thought it would be fun to have the tomatillo, but it's totally not necessary, so I haven't decided yet. Okay. So a lot of my tomato seeds are old. They're left over from last year. Last year we had a really bad tomato year. We got like 5 tomatoes total, and they were all ones that I picked green and let ripen on the counter because we had a really long, mild spring, and then it all of a sudden got really hot, and so the tomatoes never really ripened, and then they dropped off. So these are all my old ones. I actually decided not to do any of these except for the black crim this year. So I have a couple, I think 2 plants of the black crim, and then I'm doing 2 cherry tomato varieties because our first year here we had so much success with the cherry tomatoes. I figured why not try it again. So I'm doing the lollipop cherry tomato and the Matt's Wild cherry, and and then also, so I'm not a huge tomato fan, but Sam is. He loves tomatoes. So when I heard about the Paul Robeson tomato, I had to try it because apparently there's like a cult following, and you know what? Even if I don't like tomatoes, I can appreciate that there's a cult following for a variety of tomatoes. So I had to plant the Paul Robeson. So I'm excited for that. Okay, so there's 3 more sections, I guess, that I want to talk about that's going in the garden. And that's kind of, I'm not going to show you the map because it's kind of all over the place and it's the map is backwards anyway, and it's really annoying. So I'm just gonna go for it. So the first thing is I wanted to grow more greens for our chickens to eat. And back when we had goats, I was starting to do this, and I loved it. I loved when I fed the goats. I gave them their commercial grain, and they had their hay, their organic hay, and then I would give them forage, which when you're feeding ruminants, it's the succulent. So it's like the stuff that it hasn't dried out. So like the hay would be the dried out stuff, and then the succulents would be like the forage. So we gave them a lot of mulberry from our mulberry tree, and then I grew peanuts, which turned out to be mostly for them because they loved the leaves, and then I also grew some comfrey, and they loved those. So this year I wanted to do more of that, but for our chickens, especially since I'm going to try and keep them out of the garden from now on, at least until it's like flourishing, or if I have a bug problem, just because they have ruined too many seedlings and it makes me really sad. So I'm going to grow some stuff specifically for them that I can then harvest and give to them. So I do have some peanuts left over, so I'm going to do some more of the Tennessee red peanut. And again, we don't really grow these for the nuts, we grow them for the foliage. That's the word I want. Although we did try the nuts last year and they were pretty good, they just never dried out. I don't know what I did wrong, and I don't really care. And then I also, I'm going to be growing some plantain. There we go, plantain. I just got the most basic variety, which I feel like I could just go pick these weeds on the side of the road, but I'm going to grow them, and that way I know they're safe for my chickens. And then I'm also growing pink dandelion. So dandelion greens and plantain, people can eat them, but the chickens will eat them also, and they'll eat the peanut greens. And I was going to do, what's it called? The spiky one. Stinging nettle, but I figured as long as we have little kids and a tiny yard, probably not going to do stinging nettle. So if we ever move to a bigger property, I will do stinging nettle and give it to my livestock. And then I also, let's see, some of these other things that I'm going to, like some of the flowers that I'll show you in a minute, those are going to be partly for the chickens as well. But I really wanted to grow more comfrey. Comfrey? I don't know how to say it. Comfrey. And it's weird because I read up a lot on fodder that you can grow for your chickens and your goats and everything, and most stuff that I've seen says that comfrey is actually fine for chickens, and mine have eaten it and they're fine. But then I saw a couple of things recently that said don't even plant comfrey in places where your chickens are going to be free ranging. So I don't really know, but I'm going to plant it anyway because it's also a good, what do they call it, a green mulch. And you can chop it up and just put it right into the soil, and it's really good for the soil. So I will tell you, it is super difficult to track down comfrey seeds, but I finally found some. The brand is strictly medicinal seeds. I got these from Mountain Rose Herbs, if you know that website. But I've seen this brand sold like one or two other places, and you can also obviously just Google it. But comfrey seeds, really hard to find. I finally found them on Mountain Rose Herbs. So I'm going to grow some comfrey. The plan that I originally had was to plant comfrey, like 2 or 3 comfrey plants around the base of all of our fruit trees, just to help keep moisture in, and so I can chop the leaves up and drop them right there if I ever want to. But I'm not really sure because the ground over there is really hard and really dry, and part of that is because the chickens actually free range in the orchard. So moving on. So herbs. Okay, so comfrey is an herb, obviously. But I'm growing it more for the chickens to eat and for composting reasons than I am for the herbal thing. Although it does, if I ever needed to, I don't know. I don't know enough about herbs to herbalism. Okay, so then, like I said, I'm planting more dill. Hopefully that will stick. Last year I got this cinnamon basil as a free seed packet from Baker Creek. I don't really need more basil because I already have a bunch, but I figured that'd be kind of fun. I already planted the Genoese basil, and I planted it with some of my tomatoes. I just planted the whole thing. I collected it seed last year from our previous basil plant. And then I also have some Thai basil that I collected from our plant last year. And then I have stevia. I already have a stevia plant. I might do a couple more just to have more of it. I'm not really sure. And then I have some echinacea. And echinacea is another one of those things that I cannot grow. So this seed, I don't even know if it's any good because I got it from a plant that was not mine, and it was kind of on the way out, like maybe kind of moldy. I don't know. So I don't know if this will work. I may just end up going and buying an established plant just so I can have some echinacea. Okay. So then I'm also going to be doing some flowers, lots of flowers. And we had a lot of success with flowers 2 years ago. I had hollyhocks and zinnias, snapdragons, and larkspurs. Actually, I think all of those seeds that I planted 2 years ago, I actually collected from my parents' house, and they live in Utah. And they have this beautiful front yard garden. It's like a cottage style garden in their front yard. And so we were visiting at the end of summer a couple of years ago, and I just collected a bunch of seeds, and then they all grew, and it was awesome. Last year, I planted some seed that I collected from those seeds, so it was like third or fourth generation, and a couple of them grew. The zinnias always do well, but for the most part, it was nothing. So I'm kind of starting from scratch because I didn't have any seed to save last year. So I am doing hollyhocks. These are Majorette Double Champagne. When I said I wasn't buying from Baker Creek, that was true. And then I just remembered that I got a couple of flower seeds there that I wanted to get. So anyway, Double Champagne Hollyhock, beautiful, love it. Really excited for those. Then I got teddy bear sunflowers because I thought these would be really fun for the kids. I also have just the regular mammoth sunflower. These seeds are like 3 or 4 years old. So the germination rate is less every year, but I still have a bunch of seed. So we'll try it. And then I got some nasturtiums. Nasturtiums are another thing I cannot keep alive. And some borage. Borage is super easy to grow. I actually almost planted all of my seed yesterday, but then I wasn't entirely sure where I wanted to put it. Last year I had borage grow that had self-seeded itself, that had self-seeded in our lawn, and it was really pretty. So, okay, so then I also have calendula that I planted, and I think I planted it with my peppers. And then, these are the ones I planted with my peppers. I did the English daisy. I got these on a whim. And then I got the polar bear zinnia. So I think that's it. So yeah, so I'm really, really excited. Hopefully we're gonna have lots of flowers, lots of herbs, and they're all gonna be interspersed with our regular things, fruits and vegetables. Oh, I forgot one thing. Remember the hanging baskets that I put the Johnny Jump Ups, the violas in? I also put in the last of my Mexican sour gherkin seeds. These germinated last year, but then it got too hot too fast. So these were also really hard to find. I had to get these at a nursery, and they were very expensive. So I planted the last of my seeds in those 2 hanging baskets, and so hopefully if they germinate, they will just be able to climb on those, that fence right there. Okay, so I have 3 kinds of cucumbers, 4 kinds of tomatoes, 2, maybe 3 kinds of peppers, and then a zillion flowers and some stuff we're planting for the chickens to eat, some herbs and melons, squash hopefully, and I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited for this season.
The fuel lines, I have the carburetor, I've got to put on the side pieces. Just need to get the spark plug out. I'm having trouble doing it.
Thank goodness for YouTube, right?
Yeah, oh, well, that could be part of it. My spark plug socket is not big enough.
Well, what are you going to do?
Well, considering I want to be able to do this maintenance on my own in the future, I might just go and get a spark plug that fits this. They have special ones for this, and I also need to go get 2-stroke motor fuel additive, because this gasoline is really old and you don't want to run really old stagnant gasoline through something, especially with new filters.
So when you turned it on, did it work?
No, but that's because I forgot to put on the throttle cable. So impressed with myself for doing the spark plug, I forgot. I gotta probably tune the carburetor. But it works! It ran!
Now it just needs to run for like the whole time.